All right, well, we got to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 again and talk about this trailer that just dropped. I know I'm a little bit late to the party here because this has been out for a while, but we definitely need to talk about it because it does kind of translate to my previous video and kind of reinforces some of the points I made there that I suspect that this year plus of development that they're delaying the game for is to go back and fix it so that it looks and feels and acts like a GTA game. This trailer is very revealing. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Some of it's just nitty gritty stuff and down to the nuts and bolts and talking about the actual content of the game and how it looks and how it acts. But I also want to talk about that story because I think at the end of the day, it's all going to boil down to the story. It's all going to boil down to the tone, and that's gonna be what makes or breaks this game. So let's just talk about it and jump right in here. So. Right off the bat, we can see that the graphics are fantastic. Now, this is supposedly captured on a PlayStation 5. That said, I think that they did everything in their power to optimize it as best as they could to get the graphics looking as perfect as they can. Just like every other game trailer out there, I think the game is going to fall short of this. But that said, I mean, for how good it looks, I think that's a good sign that it's going to be a good-looking game on PlayStation 5. It's going to be a good-looking game on Xbox and PC as well. The one thing I did notice about this, and we're going to step back a little bit here, the cars are, first of all, it's all modern era. It's all contemporary times, which is a complaint that I kind of have about GTA games. I kind of wish that they had... gone back in time for this one. It was a complaint I had about GTA 5. I mean, I prefer to see a period piece. I think that during that GTA 3 span where they were telling period pieces, where they were talking about the world as it was in the 80s or 90s or what have you, I think that was really cool. I think they should have stuck with that. They should have gone back to that for this, but it looks like we're going to get contemporary modern times games for GTA from now on. Because as successful as 5 was, I think they're gonna not change that recipe as they're gonna change that recipe as little as they can to continue garnering that success. That said, though, the vehicles are in line with GTA 5. I mean, you can see on the front of that truck right there, it says Vapid, and from what I understand, that's the analog for forward in this game. So it looks like it's an evolution of the manufacturer lineup in GTA 5, and they're just carrying that forward with more modernized, more contemporary, current times vehicles. And so it's still going to look like all the other vehicles that you had in 5 and 4 and 3. So it's just that continuation of that lineage, which is a good sign to see. I do like that. I'm glad they didn't change that up too much, just because, if it wasn't the vehicles that we've kind of come to know and love, it would kind of throw things off a little bit. It wouldn't really look like a GTA game, and that would cause a problem. But like I said, I mean, they're definitely trying to change as little as possible as far as those visual things, those mechanical things, to try and capture that lightning in a bottle again. And that is a good sign to see. I think that lends credence to the idea that they are going back and making more things more in line with 5. Kind of, cutting out some of the things that probably have been added over the last 10, 15 years, whatever, how long it's been worked on, that were not going to work for a GTA game. Some of that very current modern political discourse that was probably injected in this game over the last decade plus. I think they're probably going back and cutting that out. And this trailer, like I said, it definitely lends credence to them doing that. So let's just continue on here. The other thing is the lighting, the graphics, all of that. It looks very modern. It looks like RTX is on this. So you've got ray traced lighting and volumetrics and everything that you would expect from a good AAA game. I mean, I think every AAA game should have all that enabled by default, but it does look very good here. It's not overcooked. It's not overdone. It just looks very solid in its approach in the way that they did things. So that's a good sign to see. I'm from the era of Bloom where, Bloom was a thing and then they overdid it for like a few years there and everything looked like it had, oily lens on the camera because everything was blurry and weird. They're not doing that with this, and that's a good sign. The other thing mechanically is the hair simulation is fantastic. I mean, you can see that hair sim it's not overdone, but it looks very good. It looks very realistic, and it's across a lot of different characters in this, but it's done very subtly, so it doesn't look out of place. A lot of times those hair sims, they can go, they can go overboard with the hair sim, but they didn't do that here, and it looks great. I know it's not scripted because it would take a lot to script that. It would take a lot to have that as part of those cutscenes. I think that's actually just an actual hair sim running in real time. So, good thing to see. Going even a little further, I think the story itself. There's not a lot to say about the story in this trailer. Obviously, I mean, we've known it's basically a Bonnie and Clyde story. She gets out of jail. For some reason, they get involved in some crazy thing and they have to, resort back to crime and go nuts. And obviously, I mean, she's trying to go straight there. It looks like she works at the airport. So they're trying to go straight and it ain't working out so good and something happens and that's why they get re-involved in all the craziness. But the real thing I want to know is, again, what are those elements? Are those plot points going to be told in a way that is very condescending? Is it going to involve the whole, modern political discourse? Are they going to go hard into the paint on that and, get all preachy and spoil the broth, as it were? Hopefully not. I think they did, and I think, like I said, this year is them taking that out. Now, I've got some ideas on what we might see if that was the case. So the first thing I think we'll see is a lot of the side missions will have some of that preachy element to it. So if you see a lot of the side missions end up having some of that in it, some of those political elements being talked down to you from, and you don't see that in the main story, I think that's going to be a sign that they took it out of the main story and they kind of, trimmed it out as best as they could, because you're talking about a game that's been developed over the last decade and more, and they're trying to fix it over the course of a year. So there's only so much you can do. There's only so many, reshoots, as it were, with these cutscenes, reanimate, rework it, retool it, and re-record the audio. There's only so much that they can do for that. So we'll see what that happens. And they might have been working on this before, for the past, even the previous year or two, and they just needed that extra year to kind of wrap that up. But we'll see what happens. And like I said, I think those side quests, you're going to see a little bit of those elements in it if they had them in the beginning, and they removed them. Because, a side quest it's not going to affect people too much, although people are really sensitive these days about it. So it might, but it won't, it won't spoil the game if the side mission, one or two side missions here or there, gets a little preachy and condescending. But that'll be an indicator that it was probably everywhere and they took it out. The other thing that I think might happen is that the main story arc might be considerably shorter than the one from GTA 5. So if we end up seeing a shorter story here, that could lend credence to the idea that they trimmed a lot of that out and just didn't re-record those missions and kind of, patchworked it together the best they could to re-establish that story arc. But again, the other thing that I can see here in this trailer, and this lends itself to there was that article a while ago where they were saying that the writers were basically being told to not make fun of quote unquote marginalized groups. And I think the article specifically called out transgender people, but any marginalized group. And the thing in this trailer that I noticed is that the only people being made fun of are the white guys. So that does kind of prove that article out, as it were. But that said, I don't think that's enough to tank the game. That, players are going to pick up on the fact that, white guys are most affected. I don't think they're going to pick up on that. I don't think that would be an issue. But if they got clearly and obviously condescending about it, if they were absolutely talking down and throwing their political points in this and just hammering on you about those kind of things, that would spoil this game. That would probably tank the game. that would lose them the billions and billions of dollars that they have invested in this, and potentially, you know, turn Rockstar from a AAA into a has-been overnight. So again, they have the incentive to fix this. They have the incentive to make sure that this is done right, because they're looking for that bottom line. They're looking to capture lightning in a bottle a second time, and you know, they're probably willing to do whatever they need to do to make sure it happens. Because like I said in the last video, this has been developed since back when, you know, the whole perception in the gaming industry was that is what players want out of their game, is to be lectured to. I don't know why studios thought that. You know, gamers want to enjoy the game they're playing. They want to enjoy the experience. They don't want to be lectured to. But that was the common consensus at the time, because the group of people convinced them that that was more important than actually making money effectively. And, you know, most of them have snapped out of that since then. But at the time, you know, there was a good decade of this game being developed under those circumstances. And I'll bet you that they changed that rather quickly, and they've been correcting course ever since. But we'll see what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, nobody knows for sure. And it's still a mystery to everybody as to what this game is going to end up looking like. But so far, you know, the trailer, it gives me hope that this is going to be a good game. It gives me hope that they're going to get back to their roots on GTA 5 and continue on with that. But we'll see. The last thing I wanted to say, though, is another reason for that short story being the shorter story being a component of this. It could also explain, you know, the other explanation for that rather would be that Rockstar is trying to convert people over more quickly into that online component. And a shorter story would do that, as long as that shorter story is compelling and gets people invested into the world. That would translate people over to the online component quicker. Because remember, Grand Theft Auto 5, it made a lot of money, but Grand Theft Auto Online made way, way more money and consistently does year over year. So essentially, GTA 6 is just the advertisement for GTA 6 Online. And I think that they realize that. I'm sure they realize that, and I'm sure that that's the approach that they're taking with this. So that could be another explanation why the story is short. But I don't know. It could be the removal of the wokeness as the reason too. So we'll have to see. It's anybody's guess, but again, I'm very white-pilled about this. I think that this is a good sign that this game is going to have a very, very good chance of being another GTA 5. But again, we shall have to wait and see. I still would like some gameplay. So Rockstar needs to get on that and get some actual gameplay, get some actual screen time. Like, I want to see the minimap. I want to see these guys running around in the world and causing trouble. I would love to see how that works, because that's more important than all these cutscenes put together. That's the most important piece of this game, and we have yet to really see that at its core. So we'll have to wait and see. That's what I got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these kind of things, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys later.